What's up guys, today I'll be discussing how to unlock first your legendary sword and then reviewing the exotic sword. Mine happens to be the arc exotic sword called the Bolt Caster. It's a multi-step process, but to be honest it's absolutely worth having this exotic sword in your inventory. First you'll need to complete the main Taken King questline and unlock patrol mode for the Dreadnoughts, very first thing. Part 1 of this multi-step process is head to the tower, talk to Eris and then Lord Shaxx, who tells you to obtain 25 Hadium Flakes and 10 Motes of Light. Hadium Flakes are found in loot chests on the Dreadnought Patrol, which is why you had to unlock it. And if you stay in the main area, right when you spawn in, if you just patrol around that area, and if you have, like if you're a hunter, it makes it so much easier because he has the one perk that highlights chests for you. But if you don't, otherwise just keep patrolling the same general area. It takes a while, it's boring, but get it done and you get the sword. After you hand in those materials, you get to choose which element you want. You'll need 25 relic iron, spin metal, or helium filaments, depending on which blade you choose. I chose arc, so I had to use spin metal, and this gets you your legendary sword. So congratulations, that's the first step. Next step, you have to upgrade your legendary sword, because I believe it starts at 220 to at least 285 or so, I think, or even just 280, because I think mine was 285. When you infuse it up to 285, the main quest will unlock for Lord Shaxx. The next step he gives you is you have to kill 50 majors and 25 enemies in the crucible. It works on any majors, so you can go to the Cosmodrome Patrol, go underneath the subway tunnel and just beat down those 3 hive guys 50 times. But you can go to strikes if you want to get engrams in the process, etc. The more difficult part is 25 in the crucible, because of shotguns. You can, well, like theoretically, without getting heavy ammo to charge up your sword, you can kill people with the hilt. The problem is it takes 2 hits and it's a lot slower than meleeing, so that's a pain in the ass. Your KD will plummet for that. But the best way to do it is probably to just wait on heavy and stick to confined close quarters areas and like sort of like hallways, so people have to funnel to you. Sword the hell out of them, repeat for a match or two, couple matches, depends on how long it takes, how long and what map you happen to spawn on. It's not too bad. It's not as bad as it sounds. When you're done that, go back to Shaxx. He's going to give you another quest. It's called Ecthar, Sword of Oryx. Head to the Founds area on the Dreadnought Patrol. Drop down into the ground, into the hole, until you find the entrance to the middle room. You've been here before if you've done an Eggnarch room. Head to the back of this room and you'll see 3 Warden Knights with different elemental shields. What you have to do is weaken them and then kill them all with 1 super. The Golden Gun works here if they're all injured and down. Sunbreaker, like the Hammer of Soul, works. Don't choose a super though that's 1 shot and done, like the Striker Titan, because a lot of the time you're not going to get them bunched up. When you're all done, and they're all done in about 5 seconds or so of killing each other, the massive door will open leading you to the asylum, and kill the enemies until Ecthar comes running at you. He can only be killed by your sword, and then it's an awesome sort of sword battle that goes on. Kill him, it's done. Go back up to Shaxx. He gives you the last part, and this part's the pain in the ass part that no one really likes. What you have to do is gather 10 rare materials and practice your relevant elemental abilities. So what happens with this is, if it depends on your particular sword, but since I'm the arc sword, what happens is I had to go to the Cosmodrome and look for spin metal, and it seems as if, well, you had to go, if you're a day 1 guardian, you had to go farm for resources on the planet. This is what you'll be doing. You just have to continually farm spin metal until you gather 10 rare elements, and I've noticed that rare material drop rates seem to be about 10%, so 1 in every 10 that you pick up gives you a rare material, which really sucks. But yeah, just go push through it, listen to some music. You'll probably go through at least 100 materials before you finally get the rare material done. After that, of course, then you can go for ability kills. The best place is to go to the Dark Beyond or go to Siege of the Warmind and just continually throw grenades. In my case, I had to use arc grenades, so switch to Striker Titan and just go nuts throwing grenades there and use your supers in between. It's not that long, or you can do strikes if you don't want to actually force yourself to do this for a bit. Then when that's done, you finally have your sword, but you have to wait for the Arms Day delivery, which is every Wednesday. And, well, actually, no, sorry, that's not the last step. The last step is to complete the 300 light sunless cell strike, killing your warden and the boss within 30 seconds of each other. So what happens with this is you get to the final boss and 3 knights will spawn. One will be arc, one will be solar, one will be void. You have to take out your warden. So if I'm arc, I have to take out the arc warden, and then I have to take out the boss within 30 seconds of each other with the sword. So the key to do that is to weaken them both, obviously, and then kill them immediately as fast as you can after that. So communicate with your fire team. It does have matchmaking. Make sure they know what they're doing and make sure they don't kill any warden early. Otherwise, you might screw somebody over of getting their sword if they're, say, going for solar or void. And then after that, you're done. You finally get your 300 attack exotic sword. So now that that's done, I'm going to break down like these swords. I'm going to give a review on at least the arc sword for now. Statistically, it starts with a 310 base damage. It has a speed rating of 45, an impact rating of 60, a range of 25, an efficiency rating, which is basically how much ammo it uses per special move or sword swipe, of 75%, which is good, a defense rating of 20%, and an energy rating, and this is your sword ammo count, of 75%. As a side note, all 3 elements of swords have these exact same ratings, none of them are different. The only 2 stats that change from legendary to exotic are impact, because it gets increased by +5, and energy, so you can carry 25 more strikes or special moves. But it does pose a separate argument as to which is the better overall choice between the legendary or the exotic, because you'll be using up an exotic slot, but the difference between the exotic and the legendary is basically one awesome special move. So it would depend on your playstyle, your strike, your raid, etc. A lot of it goes on your playstyle. If you like giving up an exotic weapon for this, it'll work fine for you, but if you prefer something like Red Death, it might be a bit of an issue. Legendary might be better for you. Anyway, to use the sword, you have the standard swing, which on PlayStation it's just R1. The exotic unlocked R2 special, and the jump swing uppercut, which is jump in R2. The starting magazine, it's hard to call it a magazine, but the amount of swings or blocks or R2 maneuvers is 45, but that can increase to 71 with perks. A note about ammo: you use 1 ammo per standard swing, whether you hit the enemy or not, so don't swing needlessly. You use 5 ammo per special swing, and you lose ammo per hit when you stand on defense with the sword. So when people shoot at you, each strike on the sword. And the higher and stronger the enemy is, the more it uses. So if you're defending with Golgoroth, I think it uses 5 to 10 defense per time each orb hits you. So bear that in mind, that the stronger the enemy, the more it's going to take away from your ammo count on defense. In terms of PvP damage output, to state the obvious, exactly like the legendary version, as long as you slice them up quick, it's a one-hit kill. With regard to the skill tree, all bolt casters exactly the same because they're exotics, they all deal arc damage. The first perk, called Sword Strike, is self-explanatory. You attack and slice up enemies with your sword. The second perk, called Arc Forged Guard, allows you to block enemies' damage output against you, like I was saying earlier, and it's against both melees and bullets. It can allow you to survive an awful lot. And of note, it blocks void and solar damage the best, but it's very less effective against arc attacks. So that's the general rule for swords in general. The damage type that it is typically the weakness it has against it. So arc captains against an arc sword are actually going to penetrate that defense of that sword. When breaking down the skill tree, the first perk is called Tempered Light, which increases your armor when holding the sword. Bungie doesn't disclose this number, so I can't give a good quantification of it, but it does appear to be a significant boost. The second set of perks which you'll have a choice over are Scabbard, which increases sword ammo capacity, and Live by the Sword, which generates orbs on sword kills. I like the increased ammo count by myself, but with teammates and trash mobs, Live by the Sword helps generate orbs. It's the better choice for teamwork. The keystone perk of the exotic sword is called Sword of Thunder, which allows you to shoot a beam of arc light from your sword and create a lingering electric storm for a few seconds after striking at an enemy. It's super powerful, and it's the only one of the 3 exotic swords that actually allows you a ranged attack. You have to make sure you're directly facing the enemy for it to be effective though, otherwise you do lose a lot of DPS, and the auto aim tends to sometimes send you all over the place. So try and activate it a couple of feet ahead of your group of targets, otherwise if they're spread out, you'll turn, use it on one thrall, and you'll get mugged by, say, a Hive Knight. The last two perks which you'll have a choice over are once again Scabbard, which increases ammo capacity of the sword, and Warrior of Light, which increases the damage of your sword's attack. This one's my choice because I've already selected Scabbard previously. You don't need both. With regard to my overall impressions in PvE, the Arc Sword offers something, like I said earlier, that others don't, a ranged attack. The other swords require direct contact to damage the enemy, but the Arc Sword does not. This makes it especially good for taking out mobs before you even reach them, and against higher tier enemies, because obviously when you're meleeing someone and making direct contact with the sword, they have a chance to strike back if they're high level. Not with the arc, because you can attack them from further away. It keeps your distance. And make sure when you're using the sword to utilize the block feature. A lot of the time I get really aggressive and I often overlook that feature, often to my demise, but it will help you in non-arc enemy fights and especially against environmental hazards such as getting some of the Dreadnought chests. In PvP tips for this, you're definitely going to have to manage your range, your areas of encounters, and maybe even consider not using it at all in particular maps. Close quarters areas and routes offer little escape and put you in danger of shotguns, yes, but they also emphasize the usefulness of this one-hit kill of the swords. When attacking on larger open maps, you'll run into difficulty against someone with scout, pulse, or sniper rifles, so obviously close encounters should be emphasized. You get a lot of ammo to count with in PvP, so make sure to block where applicable. Block, then strike. And if you employ these strategies and play more defensive and cautious, 5 to 10 kill streaks is certainly plausible because you will not run out of ammo that quickly. So overall, manage your ranges, make sure you monitor your ammo count, and utilize the block feature, and the exotic sword is worth its weight in gold, especially the arc because of its ranged attacks and the plentiful amount of void and solar attacks that you'll encounter in strikes and the raid. You make quick work of nearly every non-boss encounter, and even with a team of swords that's possible in itself, by playing more patient, strike, block, retreat, and repeat strategy. That's the easiest way to do it, that's by far the most effective way, and the exotic sword is so much fun. Have a good one, YouTube.